So it's okay if it works, and it's outstanding if it doesn't work. So, first of all, nothing's wrong with your video. This video actually is in darkness. So, don't worry about that. I was meditating last night and I got a really interesting insight, which is very counterintuitive. I love when that happens. And the insight goes like this, that it's okay if things work out, and it's outstanding when things don't work out. Now, this is almost completely the opposite of the way most of us think, I imagine. That we really want things to work out. We want to know, does it work? However, when we always do things that work, that are reasonable, that are rational, that don't involve much risk, we remain kind of trapped within a certain loop of our conditioned experience. And there's a whole element of magic and grace and potential and possibility and coincidence and synchronicity and flow that it's a whole dimension that we just are not able to access. So, the insight that came to me is that not only is it okay if it doesn't work, it's outstanding if it doesn't work. Because that's going to lead to a whole different way of looking at things, understanding things, experiencing things. It's going to put us on a track which is quite unpredictable. It's going to lead us to experiments and experiences and connections that's going to keep our life so fresh and it's going to keep us so alert and alive and awake. I want to give an example of this. There was a major conference at a place called Esalen. Was it Esalen or was it IONS? I think it was IONS, Institute of Noetic Sciences in the US. It was a major conference. And they had hundreds of people from all over the world who came to the 5-day conference. And as part of the conference, there was a speaker who was given a 2-hour slot. So the speaker comes, and the funny thing is that there's no real topic given for the speaker. So people are a little confused, what's this session about? So he comes and he asks everyone, please stand up and stand to the side of the room. So all right, everyone stands up and goes to the side of the room, and he starts pacing up and down the middle of the room. And they're wondering what's going on, what's this guy doing? And then he turns to them and says, I'm just thinking of what I want to do with all of you. They're like, what? I mean, we're here and he hasn't even thought of what he wants to do with us. And he's pacing up and down and then suddenly snaps his fingers and says, I know what. We're going to make music. And they're like really confused. What is this crazy person doing? And he instructs them to go looking around where they are and to find whatever they have and to bring it together. Anything that they think can make music, they've got to bring it together. And over the next 45 minutes to an hour, these small groups of people, they bring together different things which they think can make music and make some kind of interesting sound. Some of them make drums, some of them get some other instruments. And then he instructs them in a certain beat. And by the end of the 2 hours, all together, they have made some of the most powerful, interesting music. And at the end of the 5-day conference, people were asked, what was your favorite, most powerful session of all? And for most people, it was this session. And this was a person who had not even prepared for a session. He'd just shown up. He'd complete and so vulnerable that he was literally walking up and down in front of the audience thinking, what should I do with all of you? I'm waiting for inspiration to come. I mean, the only way he could have pulled that off is by trusting that it's okay if it goes well, it's outstanding if it goes wrong. I mean, that's the kind of trust, that's the kind of faith you need. And it truly was outstanding. We also know about, they say that, when I was doing my MBA, there's an interesting saying that MBAs work for dropouts. MBAs work for dropouts. And what does that mean? It's like those who've always done well academically are kind of afraid of taking risks because their whole self-image, their self-worth is so tied in, is so associated with doing things right, with getting validated. And so it's really rare when you know, someone, everyone, nobody expects anything from you. You're kind of failing at academics, you're failing at so many things, and people think you're hopeless. Now you're actually have the freedom to try all kinds of things. And the people who experiment and who are willing to try again and again and again, and what they call fail forward, you make a mistake and you learn from it. You make a mistake and you grow from it. You make a mistake and you reflect on it. These are the people who end up actually becoming, even in our conventional sense of success, they end up becoming really successful because they've tried many, many, many things. And from all those experiments, all the things that didn't work out, they get a sense of what does work out. This is true for inventions, this is true for organizations, this is true for entrepreneurs, this is even true for artists. They've tried many, many, many things. I remember this little anecdote of this young lawyer who goes to apprentice with a much older lawyer. And this young lawyer thinks he's really smart and he knows everything. And the older lawyer notices him for a while, and after a few days, he says to the young man, "Young man, I have forgotten more law than you have ever learned. And let me tell you, I haven't forgotten much." So this was my insight last night, and I just found it a really powerful way of looking at life. That it's okay if it works out. It's outstanding if it doesn't work out. How would our life be? How would our day be? How would our decisions be if we began to think like that? We began to lean more into the unknown, trust more that this really, really, really is a magical and friendly universe. That nothing can go wrong. When you go to the circus and these people are, what is it called when you're jumping from one, what's it called? One thing to the other, and the other person's holding you. And there's a safety net below, So even if once in a while they will miss catching that person, they'll have a big fall, but it's all right. They're going to be held. Now, what if we were to see life like that? That there's a safety net, that no matter what happens, you're held. Chogyam Thumpa Rinpoche had this powerful saying. He would say that the bad news is that we're all falling with nothing to hold on to. The bad news is that we're all falling with nothing to hold on to. The good news, the good news is that there's no ground. That's one of my all-time favorite quotes. There's no ground, and whatever you think is going to be terrible, horrible, worst possible thing, it's not what you think it is. Even death is not what you think it is. Even loss is not what you think it is. Even financial bankruptcy is not what you think it is. When you actually enter it open-heartedly, you enter it with love, you enter it with open eyes and clarity and surrender, that might be exactly what you need for your enlightenment. Exactly what you need for your wholeness, your completeness. Neil Donald Walsh, this person who wrote Conversations with God, was homeless for a long time. And he got his greatest insights from being homeless. Victoria Butenko, a lady who really revolutionized raw food and healthy living, she and her family had to live in a car for many years. And they said it was the most amazing years of their life. They were moving from city to city teaching about raw food nutrition. And every day they'd wake up in a new place and they'd go for walks and they'd play with their dog and they'd swim in the lakes. And what you'd think would be the worst possible thing, they lost their home and they had to live in a car, it turned out to be the most amazing time of their life. So it's okay if it works out. Good for you. It's outstanding when it doesn't work out. It's outstanding when it's wrong. It's okay if you can see my face in this video. It's outstanding if you can't. You got to just imagine for once. You got to use your imaginative powers and focus less on what you're seeing and more on your inner being. So this is what I wanted to share, and a little bonus at the end. And of course, the bonus is connected to this. So I actually had a very interesting dream last night, and in that dream, sometimes I get these very interesting processes in my dream. So I'm going to share with you this interesting process. The way it works is you take a piece of paper and you write down, I would like to unlock, fill in the blanks. So for example, I would like to unlock my capacity to trust that when things go wrong, that's outstanding. Or I would like to unlock my capacity to express myself in front of an audience. Some people have a little bit of fear of public speaking. I would like to unlock my ability to really take my vision, my projects forward, in a constructive way. I would like to unlock my ability to have meaningful, deep, and purposeful social conversations. Sometimes in social settings, we find ourselves talking about very superficial things. Happens sometimes. It's just not fulfilling for us. I mean, I'm just giving you some example. You can think of anything. I would like to access or I would like to unlock, and you fill in the blanks. And the idea here is that this universe is actually, this is what scientists tell us, that actually it's all mathematical. The universe is mathematical. Everything can be brought down to numbers. So once you've written that statement down or that question down, I'd like to unlock this, I'd like to access this, I'd like to awaken this. And then you start putting down a number. It's like a code number you're putting down. It's an access code to achieve this. So you start writing down a number, and whatever number comes to you, you start writing those digits down slowly and carefully. And as you're writing them down, you're having a sense that something is getting activated in you. So for example, it could be 0, 9, 7, 5, 6, 6, 3, 2, 7, 1, 4, 2, 9, 9, 9, 6. You're getting a sense of it. You can keep going for as long. It could be a few digits, could be a lot of digits. And at some point, you're going to feel complete. And you're going to write unlock and put that in a box. Now, this is something that came to me in a dream. Is it going to work? If it works, it's okay. If it doesn't work, it's outstanding. But you know what? It's really interesting. It's something that no one's ever told me this before. I've never heard of something like this before. That just like you unlock your smartphone, you can actually unlock secrets of life just by writing down a question and whatever number comes to you, which we may call random. But life is, the word random, life is actually not as random as we think it is. Randomness is just our inability to understand the deeper connection of things. Even the numbers I said right now, are they really random? Why did those numbers come and no other number come? There's a hidden intelligence of life. You start accessing that with processes like this. So there you go. So I've talked about today the whole dimension of, this is also called pronoia, paranoia and pronoia. Paranoia is a deep fear that things are going to go wrong, that people are against you, that, it's a fear that things are going to get undone. You're paranoid, you're afraid, what's going to happen? It's a lack of trust. And pronoia is actually quite the opposite. It is the deep conviction that the whole universe is conspiring on your behalf. The entire universe is conspiring on your behalf. Everything that's happening, even if it appears to be going against you, it's actually conspiring on your behalf. It's a very deep sense of trust. I think there's a book, there's a novel, there's also a movie called Pollyanna. I think it's called Pollyanna. It's about this girl who has this kind of trust. And people make fun of that movie and say, oh, you're being Pollyanna, you're being Pollyannish. It's actually an amazing attitude to have. She's a great example of someone who's pronoid, right? Who has an attitude of pronoia, inverse paranoia, the opposite of paranoia. So if it works out, it's okay. And if it doesn't work out, it's outstanding. So this is what I'd like to offer you this morning from Barcelona. Lots of love. Be happy.